Hi, this film's about International English Language Testing System, or what you probably call it, IELTS. If you're an international student, then this is a guide for you. So what is IELTS? As I mentioned, IELTS stands for International English Language Testing System, and it's a test basically that tests your English language ability. And this is what universities, as well as employers and immigration authorities, governments around the world use to make sure that you can speak English to a high enough standard before they allow you into the country, give you a job, or enroll you on a course at a university. So why take IELTS? Why put yourself through this? Well, if you want to study at UK universities, then you need a certain level in the IELTS system, which I'll explain in a minute. So this helps you immigrate into English-speaking countries. It helps you, like I say, get a job in those countries. And importantly, it enables you to prove your English language skills. So people understand what IELTS means when you're going for jobs, applying for universities and trying to get into countries like the UK. So IELTS has a number of modules and they're split into the first one, listening. So this tests your ability to understand when people talk to you with different accents at different speeds. It also, of course, includes things like lectures, normal day-to-day conversations, and when people are just talking to you, for example, when you're listening to a radio show. This requires you to answer multiple choice questions, fill in blanks, and identify information from recorded speech. The next module is about reading, and this, as you might expect, tests your ability to be able to read things like academic articles, newspapers, magazines, books, websites, that sort of thing. And this requires you to answer questions about the main ideas and the details, and perhaps the implied meanings of what you are being asked to read. The other two modules include writing. So, are you able to write English clearly, coherently, and correctly? So, they kind of split this into two things, two tasks: summarizing perhaps an infographic or a picture, and writing an essay in response to a question or a prompt. The fourth module is about speaking, and this tests your ability to communicate effectively by talking to people. So this has three parts: an introduction, a discussion of a topic, and a two-way discussion with the person who's testing you. So IELTS is scored, or your ability of English is scored on a scale of 0 to 9. The higher the score shows the better is your English. And most UK universities require for you to enter them a minimum band score of about 6 or higher for undergraduate and postgraduate programs. So this is what the bands mean. 0 to 4, you've got very limited English. You're basically a beginner or a little bit better than a beginner at English. It's not until about band 5 that you can understand and use basic English. As you move up the bands, 6, you can handle routine tasks like write simple essays and discuss familiar topics. 7, your English becomes a bit more complex. Band 8, you can understand quite difficult texts now. So complex academic writing you can understand, and your English is quite fluent in a mixture of different situations. And 9 means you really have expert English proficiency. So Here's some examples. Band 4, for example, reading, writing, speaking. You have difficulty at most of these things. Understanding when people are talking to you, difficulty in speaking to others, understanding what people are saying and what you're reading. Band 5, you know a little bit better English. You can get the basic information from the simpler newspaper articles or simpler writing that you are being asked to read. So you can say things like, I go to school every day. I like to study maths. My favourite teacher is Miss Smith, for example. Band 6, you're getting a bit more complex, and this is kind of the minimum that universities require in the UK. Some might require a little bit higher depending on which university, which course you're doing. But now you're understanding academic articles and you can discuss and talk about those things really, really well. Band 7, you get even better. You can understand complicated and complex topics and information really well. You can really put together a good discussion about things you've read, you've heard, and you want to communicate about. Band 8, more complex still. So you can discuss complex topics now quite easily and, importantly, quite accurately. Things like your native accent might be enhanced when you're speaking English. Doesn't matter too much about your accent as long as people can understand you at this higher level. Band 9 then is the top band, and you're at the top of the tree, so to speak, here, with the ability to write really extremely sophisticated things like essays with really great grammatical accuracy and clarity and those sort of things. So if you're preparing for IELTS, I would say, practice regularly using the appropriate IELTS materials that your English teacher can help you with, and perhaps take some mock or practice tests to assess your progress. Keep practicing your English as much as possible to improve it, your vocabulary and your grammar, for example. And make sure your study skills, like your time management skills, don't lag behind, because those will be important when you come into the exam, to make sure you don't focus on the wrong thing for too long. And get used to and familiarize yourself with the exam itself. What form is that going to take? Like the speaking test element of IELTS. What do you need to do? How is that going to work? What is it that you might be asked to read? Get used to doing that. Get some of those things before the exam and practice reading them. You need to register for IELTS, so you can register for the test through the British Council website that's local to you, and choose your test date and the location and pay the fee to do that. So I think IELTS is really important, especially if you want to come to UK university. There are minimum requirements. Check that for your specific course and university. It's going to be about 6.5 across the 4 modules: listening, writing, reading, and those things. So, make sure you're aiming at the right IELTS level. But I'm sure with the right preparation and practice, you can do it. Good luck.